מזמור לדוד, אדוני רואי לא אכסר, בינו דשירביצני, על מי מנוחות ינעלני. נפשי שובב, יענכני במגלית צדק למען שמו, גם כי ילק וקיצל מוות, לא ידע רק אותו עמדי. שבטך ומשענתך המה ינחמוני. תערוך לפני שולחן נגד צורריי. דישן טבע שמן ראשי כוסי רוויה. אך טוב וחסד ירדפוני כל ימי חיי, ושבתי בבית אדוני לאורך ימים. The 23rd Psalm, a Psalm of David. Adonai is my shepherd, I shall not want, giving me repose in green meadows, leading me beside the still waters to revive my spirit, guiding me on the right path, for that is God's essence. Though I walk through a valley of the shadow of death, I fear no harm, for you are with me. Your staff and your rod comfort me. You prepare a banquet for me in the presence of my foes. You anoint my head with oil, my cup overflows. Surely goodness and kindness shall be my portion all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of Adonai forever. So we are all gathered here this morning, sadly, to say goodbye to Marlene Riva Goldberg, Zichrona Livracha, of blessed memory. Rivka Bat Chaim Miriam, Zichrona Livracha, the daughter of Haimi and Mary Cates, of blessed memory, the wife of the late Bill Goldberg, of blessed memory, the sister of Irvin and Florence Cates, the mother of Carol and Sam Simkin and Susan and Ron Barsky, the grandmother of Michael and Shaarey, Aaron and Brittany, Jonathan and Jody, Rebecca and Oded, Sarah and Danielle, the great-grandmother of Oliver, Sienna, Sky, Nathan, Uriel, and Shai. Marlene passed away on Tuesday, March 27th, at the age of 85. In a few minutes, we are going to hear some memories about Marlene from some family members. During a Jewish funeral, we have lots of rituals and prayers, but the most important part is, no doubt, the eulogies. This has biblical roots, as we see that our father Abraham eulogized Sarah, his wife. The word eulogy means a good word. Giving a eulogy is a way to honor a person's life. It is also a way to provide comfort to those who are heartbroken. The eulogy expresses sorrow for the loss, yet it celebrates and finds meaning in the person's life. But before the eulogies, and after having a conversation with Marlene's children yesterday, I realized she lived a life committed with some very important Jewish values. And I wanted to share at least a couple of them with you. Marlene was a person that could be defined as forward-thinking, accepting everyone, and that made her go through life with a non-judgmental approach. Biblical Judaism includes laws and obligations that people judge one another, but fairly and with loving kindness. But we should distinguish between biblical Judaism, as reflected in the Torah, and rabbinical Judaism, a later body of interpretation and further development of biblical ideas. Among rabbinical writings, the Mishnah, a book of Jewish oral law written about 2,000 years ago, contains one section called Pirkei Avot, or Saying of the Fathers, that is full of practical advice for everyday behavior, including the art and practice of judging others. For example, in Pirkei Avot, Rabbi Joshua ben Perachia is quoted as saying, "Judge everyone favorably." One commentary by Maimonides interprets the saying as indicating that each person is believed to have goodness within them, and the one who judges is obligated to look for those good qualities in other people. One of Rabbi Hillel's most quoted ideas is to take care when judging others. Don't judge your fellow human being until you have reached that person's place. And the other value that was evident in Marlene's life was her good heart. The fact that this is a very important Jewish value was recorded also in the Mishnah on Pirkei Avot. So we read Pirkei Avot chapter 1, Mishnah number 10. Rabbi Yochanan said to his students, "Go and see which is the best trait for a person to acquire." So they went out, experienced life, and came back with their answers. Said Rabbi Eliezer, a good eye. Said Rabbi Joshua, a good friend. Said Rabbi Yossi, a good neighbor. Said Rabbi Shimon, to see what is born out of one's action. Said Rabbi Eleazar, a good heart. So their teacher told them, "I prefer the words of Eleazar, the son of Arach, to yours." That is, a good heart. For his words include all others. So as you can see, if there is a Jewish value that contains all other values, this is a good heart, a value that Marlene mastered. With this, I would like to invite some family members now to share the eulogies with you, sharing a few of their memories of Marlene. So first, I would like to invite Michael and Aaron Simking, Marlene's grandchildren, to come forward to eulogize their grandmother.
Thank you all for coming. We know it would mean a lot to Bob and Marlene. It's obviously been a crazy week for me. 7 days or 10 days ago now, we had a new baby girl, and then that's followed up with Baba leaving us, which in some ways, you know, is obviously sad, but in other ways is very fitting because in seeing my kids grow up and interact with their grandparents, I'm constantly reminded of my relationship with my Baba, and that's been kind of the most shocking thing I think about having children is how many memories it brings back in me, and how many of those lead back to Bob and Marlene. As I'm sure Aaron will talk about, her and my Zeta Bill coming to town were always a highlight of our life. You know, every time they came, they were so dedicated to us, so fun, and that's just how Bob and Marlene was. You know, for my bar mitzvah, she took me on a cruise with Auntie Susie to Alaska, and was right up there in the helicopter, which she didn't look very comfortable doing, but did it anyways. And You know, the last trip she took out of Winnipeg was to Los Angeles, or San Diego, sorry, I forgot where I got married, for our wedding. And she's been a part of every important memory of my life. And as Aaron and I were talking on the way over, we often say, like, oh, you know, we should celebrate her life. But it's been a rough little while. And I think the most important thing about being back here and reflecting and talking about her memories is to remember all the amazing times that we had with her. And Aaron and I will be taking a Bob and Marlene tour of Winnipeg, because just being in this city brings back so many memories of my childhood that I really honestly believe define me as a father, and in what I want to provide for my kids, and the way that I want, the experience that I want them to have with their grandparents. And my kids got to meet her, but unfortunately not in the same way that I got to experience her, but thankfully she taught her children all her tricks. So they get that too. But that's all I really wanted to say. Was just, I mean, she was the greatest grandmother anyone could ask for, and I'm so incredibly happy that we had her in our lives.
I'm Aaron. I'm the middle grandchild. I remember growing up, you know, the most exciting part for me and Michael and Johnny was when Zedek and Bob and Marlene would come visit. You know, I think in large part it was because they'd bring a huge thing of corned beef, you know, that I was always waiting for, and you know, couldn't wait for that. But aside from that, it was to actually see them. And when they came, it wasn't to escape the cold winter. I'm sure it was part of that, but at least to us, it didn't seem like it was. It was to be with us, and it was to spend time with us, and it was to show that they actually cared. And in that sense, you know, that's what really made me so excited to see them every time, is they were so invested into what we did and our lives, and really made it their own lives. And I think, at least for me personally, I didn't see, you know, the side of Baba in terms of how powerful she was and how strong of a human being she was, until our grandfather passed in 1994. And when that happened, you know, I think some people will hang up their hat and say, you know what, it's time for me to just, you know, live the remaining part of my life and move on. And she didn't do that. You know, she kept going, and she you know, continued her obligations to her family, to her friends, and, you know, even to herself, to be honest. She was quite the bachelorette, which I know is exactly what my grandfather would have wanted of her, and that just speaks to the type of person that she was. She kept going, and she kept, you know, life moving, and I think that taught me a lot, that, you know, sometimes things aren't going to work out the way you think they are, and it could happen very quickly, and you can take one of two approaches. And she took the approach that I want, which is you move forward and you keep going. As was mentioned earlier, she was an extremely accepting person, and, you know, she didn't care what color you were, what sexual orientation you were, and put those values on us. And I think that helped us growing up, especially in California, where things are different. And it's very progressive, is we grew up with that type of progressive attitude already, and we're really a step ahead of that. And she always taught us that you have to do what you think is right. I think, you know, looking at her decisions early on and marrying my grandfather, for starters, somebody that's 10 years older than her, has absolutely no money whatsoever, she knew it was right and she went for it. And I think that's something that resonates with me, is you got to trust your gut and go for it, and you can see sometimes that it works out, and it worked out very, very well for her. And, you know, I want to live the same way as she did. And lastly, you know, she always looked at the bright side of things, and, you know, never looked at the negative, and she would laugh about, you know, pretty much any situation. And I think that's something, you know, that's very important. And as a result, I think Michael and I really don't want to mourn her death, but rather celebrate her life. That's what we're planning to do later today, and, you know, while we're here in Winnipeg. And you know, she had a lasting impact on us, and she'll forever be a part of all of us. And I know Johnny would say the same thing if he could be here.
Thank you to Michael and Aaron. And I would like to invite now to Ron Barsky, Marlene's son-in-law, come forward to share his eulogy with us.
I'm a little less off the cuff, sorry. So I came into this little lady's life over 10 years ago, and much like it was with her daughter, it was love at first sight. I thought it would be easy to be here and tell you all about her, but it really isn't. I want to tell you that this woman was incredible both before her illness and during her illness. I want to tell you that she opened her heart to me from the first day we met, and in spite of her dementia, she never closed it. I want to tell you what an incredible sense of humor Marlene had. She was truly funny and loved to laugh. She also loved pastry, and even at her 85th birthday, a few weeks ago, when Susan brought her a piece of chocolate Sintort, although words did not come easy to her, the word delicious came out of her. I want to tell you how much Susan and I loved spending time with her, both before and after her illness. She was never a chore nor a burden to us. I would love to tell you of all her accomplishments before I came into the picture, but those are only stories to me, so I let the boys do that. I would love to tell you about an incredible sense of humor, how she called Sam her son-in-law and me her sin-in-law. How she always said that if anything ever happened between Sam and Carol, God forbid, she was keeping Sam. I would love to tell you about her incredible love for animals and dogs in particular. Dogs absolutely loved her. Our dog, Jamie Goldberg, loved Marlene as much as Susan, and if you know Jamie, you know what a huge statement that is. And my dog, Samson, who I brought into our relationship, actually cried when he saw her and would never leave her side for a minute. I will tell you, though, that this lady, in spite of 5 heart attacks, had a heart of gold. When her illness got to the point where she could not live alone anymore, and it was time to leave her apartment, we took her out for dinner. We were in San Diego at the time, and told her that when we returned to Winnipeg, she would then be moving to the Shaftesbury. She said she would think about it and maybe move in the spring. That is where I first found out that you had to be more direct with Marlene. I told her that we moved her bed. At that point, she said she wanted a divorce from all of us. She was very upset. The very next morning, she apologized, said she would give it a try and do her best, and she did just that. Over the course of time, the dementia worsened. We went from the Shaftesbury to the Rosewood, and then became too much, we went to Riverview. Riverview was absolutely incredible to our mother, and we will be eternally grateful for the care and kindness they showed Mom. We also made some good friendships with other family looking after their loved ones as well. Before I tell you about my wife and just how incredible she was, I would be remiss if I didn't take a minute and tell the Simpkins how grateful we are for their support and how much we love them. We hope they haven't lost their excuse for coming to Winnipeg. While we carried the brunt of the responsibility, we never felt alone in our journey with Marlene. You were always there for us and would come at the drop of a hat whenever we needed you. And we knew that, and that made us stronger as well. We couldn't have done what we did without your help, love, and support. Maybe because Sam and Carol left Winnipeg over 31 years ago, or maybe because they were so alike, or maybe just because Susan and her mother had an incredible bond, there was nothing one of them wouldn't have done for the other. Susan made her mother one of her most important priorities in her life and took incredible care of Mom. Susan was there anytime Mom needed her 24/7. I am so proud to be married to a woman who exemplifies everything my parents brought me up to believe in. I am so happy that my wife will never, ever regret not doing something for her mother or not telling her mother how much she loved her. This is what will help get Susan through the coming months. Dementia has been described as so terrible because of what it robs a person of. We all know what dementia takes from a person. Here's what dementia never took from Mom. Never took her smile, her ability to laugh and make someone feel special, her family, and of course, her dignity. She left this world on her own terms, and not a day will go by where we won't think of her and smile. Thank you.
Thank you, Ron. So according to the rabbis, there is clear evidence in the Torah of belief in existence after death. The Torah indicates in several places that we will be reunited with our loved ones after death. The Torah speaks of several individuals being gathered to their people. This gathering is described as a separate event from the physical death of the body or the burial. That's why now that we are about to recite the El Maleh Rachamim prayer, we should have in mind that Marlene not only entered the Olam Haba, the world to come, but also she was reunited with her beloved Bill, now together for eternity. Please rise for the El Maleh Rachamim prayers. El Maleh Rachamim Shochem Bameroimim Hametze Menucha Nechona Tachat Kanfei HaShechina B'ma'alot Kedoshim Kedoshim Uteorim Kezohar HaRakim Mazirim Et Nishemat Et Nishemat Rivka Vat Chaim V'Miriam She'alecha Le'olama Babur Shanu Mitpalelim Ve'ad Azkarat Nishemata Began Eiden Began Eden Tei Menuchata Lachem Valarachamim Ahastidea Veseder Kena Favleolamim Utzeror Bitznor Achayim Achayim Et Nishemata Adonai Unachalata Vetanuach Veshalom Al Mishkava Venumar Amen. Exalted, compassionate God, grant infinite rest in your sheltering presence among the holy and pure to the soul of Marlene Riva Goldberg, who has gone to her eternal home. Merciful One, we ask that our loved one find perfect peace in your eternal embrace. May her soul be bound up in the bond of life. May she rest in peace. Let us say, Amen. You may be seated. So I have some announcement for everybody before we proceed to the cemetery, which, by the way, is going to be the Rosh Pina Cemetery. It's not the Shaarey Zedek Cemetery, so it's a little further away on Main Street. Remember that. if you are not following us in a caravan fashion. But before I explain that, I would like to announce on behalf of the family that donations on Marlene's memory can be made to the Riverview Alzheimer's Unit, which, by the way, the family is absolutely thankful to all the staff and doctors for the care they provided to Marlene the last few years. So, in a few minutes, we're going to proceed to the Rosh Pina Cemetery in caravan fashion. That means that I would like to ask you to turn on your four-way flashers for your car to identify your vehicle as part of the procession, and please remember to stop at red lights and stop signs in our way to the cemetery. Immediately after burial, we are going to proceed to the meal of consolation that is going to happen at the Etz Chaim, the congregation Etz Chaim, located at 123 Matheson Avenue East. Shiva is going to be observed for only 2 nights because, according to Jewish tradition, the holiday of Passover cut the Shiva short. So it's going to be tonight from 7 to 9, tomorrow also from 7 to 9, at the home of Susan and Ron Barsky. And this is 110 Powder Ridge Drive. So again, tonight and tomorrow night, 7 to 9. And the family is going to have the service, the davening, there at 7:15, almost at the beginning of the time of the visits. Okay, so it's time to proceed to our next step, which is to proceed to the cemetery. I would like to invite the pallbearers to exit the chapel now, to assume their places alongside Marlene's coffin. And as soon as that happens, the family is going to exit the chapel to proceed to their transportation. As for all of us, we are going to wait a little bit longer here in the sanctuary until the pallbearers and the family reach their places. And when that happens, the doors at the back are going to open, and that will be our sign to leave the sanctuary. What is expected from us is to leave the building and to form 2 lines outside the building so the coffin can go through those 2 lines, and between those 2 lines on its way to the hearse. It's going to take a few more minutes. So. Okay, that's our sign. We can exit the sanctuary now. Thank you.